Hey guys, Blakey. So, why am I wearing my pine tree hat, you may ask? I have a fun story about pine trees. So, my backyard, it's full of pine trees. We have not millions, there are like 6 pine trees back here. There's a fence behind it. So, about last summer, I would climb those trees and I would look over the fence and see there was a bunch of stuff back there. I've actually gone over the fence since then. That was a bad idea. I also got my siblings in trouble for it too, because, I'm too scared to do things alone. Why not get my siblings in trouble too? I'm just such a great brother. So, the story with pine trees. I was climbing a pine tree, and it was about, I think, the Friday before school ended. It was going to end the week after. I was climbing a tree, and I was all the way at the top, and my little sister, she was outside with me, and I was about to go down the tree. The tree's trunk. So the trees in our backyard, the pine trees, they're really thin, and they're not very sturdy. The one I was climbing, it tended to break a lot, but I guess I didn't care, because I'm not the smartest person, especially not a year ago. So I'm climbing the tree, and I get all the way to the top, and I'm like, okay, I guess it's safe to come down now. And I was going to go down and, go inside, I guess, because I was getting bored. The tree's trunk literally snapped, and I fell 12 feet. Because I was all the way at the top of the pine tree. 12 feet. I remember, totally blacking out. I was conscious when I hit the ground, but I blacked out the entire fall. I didn't feel anything. I remember I had a huge scratch down my leg. Didn't feel it. I had a bunch of scratches all over my arms. Didn't feel it. I didn't feel any... I knew I would have gotten hit by branches falling down the tree, but I didn't feel any branches when I was falling. I just totally blacked out. And then I hit the ground so hard. It hurt so bad, but I wasn't crying because I'm just the toughest person on the face of the planet. And my little sister, she runs over.
Holy shit, Blake, are you okay?
Get Dad, bitch. And she runs inside. My dad actually thought I was dying. I've heard that it's actually possible I could have died if I had hit my head. I'm still here. Yay.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Okay, so my dad comes out and he gets me. He picks me up, and my little sister, she has to stay home by herself. My mom has to come home for my little brother's baseball game, which they were at, and she had to watch my little sister. Well, my dad took me to Akron General, which is right down the street from my house. I think the worst part about the hospital, I was asked 3 times if I had my period. Back then I had really long hair, and biologically, yeah, that's another time. Anyways, the worst part, other than the period part, was getting undressed and into a robe, a hospital robe. It was the worst thing, because my dad had to help me, a nurse had to help me. I couldn't move. I was just kind of sitting there I had to take my x-ray. They had to lift me onto the bed. I was 100 pounds. I had to lift this 100-pound 6th grader onto a bed to get an x-ray. Turns out I broke a bone in the side of my back. So I had to get an x-ray there, and it turns out my back was broken, so they sent me to Akron General. That was the longest night of my life. I was up till 2 a.m. waiting for a doctor to come in to tell me, what's going to happen to me. I didn't need a back brace or anything, but I remember waiting was the worst part. My mom, she spent the night at the hospital with me. I had to spend the night. I was in this little room. It was all perky and dandy, and I hadn't eaten a thing. I remember what really scared me was one of the nurses. First, she messed up and gave me a bracelet for a 2-year-old. It said a 2-year-old's name on it, and I got really confused, and I'm like, excuse me, nurse? This is the name, this says it belongs to a 2-year-old. Oh, I'm sorry, hold on, let me just go get another one. Do I look 2 to you? And then later, they said not for me to eat it. She said, the same nurse, she said not for me to eat anything, because if I had eaten something, that'd be bad if they had to do surgery. Yes, and don't eat anything, just in case you need surgery. I didn't need surgery. I didn't even need a brace when I broke my back. They just sent me home and they're like, oh yeah, take it easy. No field day for you. I wasn't complaining about that. I'm the least athletic person you'll ever know. Unless it comes to climbing trees, apparently. So that was the longest day of my life. And I remember one of the other bad things was getting poked by a needle. Alright, we're just going to need to poke you with this little needle and give you a little IV that you're going to have to put up with all night. Please don't. It was so uncomfortable. I remember getting there and they took me to a room. I had to get undressed and into a robe again. Wasn't that fun. My shirt, actually, it was covered in a bunch of different, like, pine tree needles. And my hair had a bunch of pine tree needles in them. I got pine tree needles all over the hospital bed. So sorry. It was just such a wonderful experience. Actually, I think I actually wrote something in the book a while later. Yes, today I fell out of a fucking pine tree. Because I do that a lot. I'll look back at old things and I'll write a bunch of crap. And that day I was wearing a Minion on my shirt. I remember it so clearly. That's the shirt that got covered in pine trees. Pine tree needles. Yes, I have a bunch of pine trees on my shirt. Reverse dipper. Boy. You know, that's your fault, Caitlin, Gabby, and Amanda, that I go, boy. So, that was the story of how I almost died from falling out of a pine tree. It was probably one of the worst memories I've ever had, but I remember, I think the best part of it was getting to go home. Like, usually I'm like, oh gosh, I hate this place. I really do. And I think one of the also bad things was I had to sleep in my sister's bed because my bed, it's actually broken. Folds in like a taco because the bed spring there is broken. Boy, okay. I did it again. Third time. It's like kinky now. I actually went to the extent of learning how to say kinky in Italian. Eccentrica. Just to stop annoying my friends. Just kidding, I love annoying my friends. Ask any of my friends, especially Ash. I'm the most annoying person they know. Stories. Oh my gosh. I'm Grunkle Stan. Texas. Okay, that was a terrible Grunkle Stan impression. I'm sorry. Alright, well, I guess that's all I've got to say. Hang on, let's improve the loser gun. A fake gun. Pachoo! And... Alright, time to go. Go shit.